All right, you bunch of yahoos, strap yourselves in for another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity.
In other words, shut up, sit up, and pay attention.
Sometimes I feel when I watch younger kids and millennials, I'm like the old guy. Get off the grass, you little fuckers. When you watch Fighting Down, and obviously it's transitioned and changed so much. I know that football players now think, or old school football players think the game is soft now. It's changed so much. It's certainly different, and the rules have changed. Do you look at the amount of training and go, I wish I could have done that, or they're just soft, they could have never hung with us and done 3 fights a night or any of that stuff? Or is there kind of a mutual appreciation where the sport has gone?
I mean, I'll jump in there first. I mean, I actually, I look at the sport overall. It has evolved immensely from where it first was.
Right.
The skill set, the fighters, they're much more well-rounded. I mean, I would always tell people I was a one-trick pony out there. I mean, I was a good grappler, a good wrestler, and going up against a striker, I just figured that striker only had that one chance to either kick, knee, elbow, or do anything of that nature, because the moment that I would clinch them or take them out or jam them up against a cage wall, I mean, I've neutralized 90+% of their arsenal. Right. But I've also, during my practices, I train guys to do what I refer to as close quarter combatives. Sure. How to punch with that shoulder, how to jaw jack a guy, how to stomp the foot, rake the shin. I mean, even if they're on your back, how to throw that heel back, heel into the shin, and throw elbow shots back into the ribs, and just to get them off you. So, I mean, stuff that I'll say that you're throwing punches and stuff like that, almost like a professional wrestler. You're going through the mechanical motions and stuff like that, but you're still not making contact, or very minimal contact, just to let them know that you're there. But I'm also doing it as a physical aspect, but then also verbalizing. I'll go into elbow strike. And again, but just to touch it and realize, holy shit, if you would have really done that for real, they would have been, sucking air at that point in time. Yeah. So I just know that the more senses that you incorporated, the more proficient you will become.
When you guys, Don, there's no way you could have projected the sport to kind of do what it did now, right? Did you see any of this coming?
No, hell, we thought we were going to jail. Because we used to say, after the fight, you got 2 options. You go to the hospital, you go to the after party. Yeah. The third option was go to jail, and that was always hovering around back there. But luckily, nobody ever did. They never followed through. But the threat was always there.
Yeah.
What do you think of the fact that it went from kind of what you guys are doing to now that the 16 or the 12-year-old is literally one night grappling, one night jiu-jitsu, one night this, one night that? They said about 5 years ago, it felt like you're getting the ultimate MMA guy now, because they're kind of not great at everything, but good at everything. And then as they get older, hopefully great. What do you think about that? Do you like that? Or do you like just, basically seeing a great wrestler learn how to strike, and those are like the 2 things? Or do you think jiu-jitsu is something that the submission is just so big now that you just have to know how to defend that or sprawl? Or
I actually, I'm looking at it right now that I see a lot of parents that, fathers especially, they're kind of living vicariously through their sons. Of course. And they're trying to get them involved in, say, a wrestling program, but then maybe a jiu-jitsu program as well. So they're getting the best of both worlds. I mean, because I always tell people, I'm basically a stats guy. You look at the stats. If you look at the top 10 men per weight class, 8 or 9 of them are going to have wrestling as a background. It's a great foundation for body positioning, body control, leverage, but it doesn't teach you the aspects of chokeholds. It doesn't teach you the aspects of strikes. But that competitive spirit, I mean, there's still something. If you've got a winning wrestler, there's a bullheaded heart and determination that they have behind them. So learning other aspects of punching submissions is not that tough. But as I said earlier, you do have in today's fighter a much more well-rounded, complete athlete that can strike. You've got wrestlers that can strike with the best of strikers, and strikers that can now grapple with the best of the grapplers. So you've got that all-around athlete now.
Do you guys look at anybody now and go, he could have fought in our time, like his style? You just respect his heart and just someone you just go, that he could have fought in our time.
Mr. Frye?
I'm thinking. I'll go with Clay Guida, definitely. There's maybe 15, 20 guys.
There are athletes that could compete. From today's era that could compete. What the no holds barred era was sort of like. That tournament format is difficult because a lot of them, and that's where the wrestler background really comes into play, because wrestlers are used to going into tournaments and having multiple matches. And I think for the longest time, the max was, I think you couldn't have more than 5 matches in any particular day. Now, when you think about 5 matches, that's a lot of matches. In the UFC 8-man tournament, you had to have 3 victories in order to win. So you had to make certain that you exerted the least amount of effort, maximum results, trying not to take any kind of punishment or injuries going into match number 2. And the same way then in preparation before going into the final match, and hoping that whoever you're facing, you're hoping that their matches keep going longer, and that's making a little bit more punishment, because there have been people that have won in the past but were unable to then compete in the next round because they broke a hand, and they were unable to progress on. And even then, during that tournament format, they did not have alternates, that were in order to put it in your place.
That fight, gotcha. So that fight was forfeited, and the other guy wins the fight. But
at the same token, is that fair now that an alternate comes in that has not had no previous fights there as well? He's fresh, so it's there's a lot of pros and cons. So the UFC was doing the best they could at the time, and they were underneath a great deal of scrutiny, because you did have a lot of politicians and legislators that were trying to do away with this barbaric sport altogether.
Right.
You're looking at in wrestling, you got Division I wrestlers that, shit. One night I had 5 matches, at the Las Vegas tournament, didn't get done till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then they get your ass back up and start again at 9 o'clock, which meant 7.
So your body's not recovering at all. There's no way you're getting enough sleep to recover from.
Oh, you recover because you go through it every day. Every day you're in a 2.5 hour street fight. So
gotcha.
Your body's trained for it.
Gotcha.
Now, wrestling is it's a very unique sport in the sense when you look at, you're walking into a practice room that is probably close to 90 some degrees in the first place. And you walk in there, sometimes when you just open up that wrestling room door, the heat wave just hits you like, oh my God, that's 2.5 hours I'm going to be in here just sweating my butt off here. I mean, but that's, I can tell you, Tom, that an average workout for me, I'd be losing between 8 and 10 pounds of water weight during a 2.5 hour practice. And I was drinking water the entire time, but you're just sweating that much.
Yeah. Wow. So, Ken, how did you get involved with that? The coach. How did you become a coach for the international teams? How did that go about?
Oh, that was like their own Dan knows, but initially went to Antonio Inoki, who fought Muhammad Ali. And he, of course, he's not gonna coach the team. He's probably would be owning the league.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
I got the spot instead of Mr. Inoki and started to coach. But, yeah, that's how it happened. But I was, started the karate when I was little and judo. So I got a good understanding of that movement and everything. And my strength was, strength and conditioning. So I got all the fighters made their weight on time without losing electrolyte, minerals, anything. So, yeah, I disagree the way of fighters going to sauna, squeezing out water, losing minerals, and get the electrolyte unbalance. They can recover in one day. So, okay, let's be smart here. Use science to get rid of water weight and make the weight, and which I had to do it in professional bodybuilding. So it was a piece of cake for me. But, on my team, I had the guys do it and it worked very well. But, yeah. But
did some of those guys go on to become, champions, or any of the guys that you had on your team?
Yeah, one of them was Vladimir Matushenko. He already had a couple UFC title shots, fought Andrei Arlovsky and Tito Ortiz, and he lost. So came to the IFL and he beat up everybody. But he was good, and I think he was he was originally a wrestler, NCAA division champ. I think Arizona State. I don't know. Dan might know him. Coached him possibly, but. Yeah, that was differences that I took care for strength and conditioning. So, yeah. But like you're saying, the old school guys like Don and Dan, I mean, these guys, I think, started to fight because they're trying to prove who's the toughest guy. And now it's like a UFC. It's like the guys are very skilled, but I think that I looked at the athletes, not like a real old school fighters who are real tough guys. So that's my point of view.
Well, with us, it's I got into it because of competition factor. I mean, once you're done with wrestling, it doesn't. College, you either go out to the Olympics or you go home.
Right.
And I had no chance in hell of making the Olympic team, and so I went home, got a job, and when I saw Dan doing it, I called him up, say, Dan. Don Frye, you remember me? Yes. How do you get in on this stuff?
Well, again, I knew Don well more. I mean, I was an assistant wrestling coach at Arizona State at the time when Don was actually wrestling there, but Don also lived with a couple of my younger brothers, and so I knew Don, much more like a family member at that point. And he left Arizona State, went over to Oklahoma. And basically,
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State, and did some boxing and stuff like that also at that time. So Don actually was a much more complete competitor. I always tell people that I only helped Don get his foot in the door. Don Frye kicked that door wide open for himself.
Yeah.
So,
well, there wasn't a lot for, like Don said, for wrestlers to do. Do you think the younger wrestlers now in college are in the back of the mind already thinking about UFC as an option or MMA as an option?
I know that actually is one of the recruiting opportunities for Arizona State. You've got, why am I drawing a blank here right now on the head wrestling coach there? Can you help me out there, Don, the head coach there at Arizona State right now?
Zeke?
Yeah, okay, Zeke Jones, yeah. Zeke Jones also from the state of Michigan. Zeke's been the head coach here for a number of years now, and Zeke knows that there's also the Sunkiss Wrestling program. It's a freestyle and Greco program that's associated with Arizona State, and there's opportunities. So between first off, you've got Arizona State's wrestling program, then you've got the Sunkiss freestyle and Greco program, but then there's also that other opportunity that the state of Arizona has had more UFC or I should say just international MMA competitors, and Arizona State University has had more champs or more competitors, I think, than any other university in the United States, and that's just pure fact. So a lot of it has to do with the Sunkiss Wrestling program and Art Martori and Zeke Jones.
Yeah, I think just following Clay, he ends everything with wrestling is life. every email, every text. It's wrestling his life, and he works with kids daily, which obviously makes me like him even more. And what do you think when you give back to the sport like that, especially while he's active? Were you guys, as you were fighting, still coaching and doing that while you were fighting?
Not me. I was all about me.
Don was actually doing an extra training camp where, again, I was, and I still do. I mean, amateur wrestling is still my first love of teaching.
Gotcha.
I like going out on that mat, knowing that I'm walking out on the mat here with 30 to 40 young guys that probably really don't know who I am unless they Googled me earlier that day.
Which they do.
I'm just too old here right now. So I have to win them over with actual content. And I always tell people that I'm actually a better coach than I was a competitor, and I wasn't half bad as a competitor either.
No,
so
yeah.
I really like to know the fact that I'm going to win people over with what I'm going to show them. And I like watching. I do a lot of analyzation. So if an athlete sends me 3 of their matches, by the end of the 3 matches, I'll know exactly what they're good at, what they're bad at, what their strengths are, weaknesses are. I'll write up all kinds of training head programs of what they should be doing and what they're going to be susceptible, even up to a point that maybe a little bit of a weightlifting program, cardiovascular program, and nutrition thrown on the side there. That's right. I guarantee my results knowing that they will give up upon themselves before I'll ever give up on them.
Right. There's something so fulfilling about coaching. It's amazing when someone's actually hearing what you're saying and seeing that it works. There's nothing that feels better when they're like, "Oh shit, this actually works, coach." You know, it's such a shock. Because I can tell you, as going through life, as I got older, I even watched like Hard Knocks on HBO. I'm such a prick. I hate half the coaches. I'm like, that's a terrible. Like motivation's real important to me. And I hear someone's, we were watching a UFC fight and one of the coaches like, try harder. And you're like, try harder. That's your fucking coach,
Yeah. Take it down. Get up.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get hit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What an idiot.
Well, yeah. And I used to hear that in football all the time. They're like, try harder, push him back. You're like, dude, tell me which side is my leg going? Where am I swimming him? Am I ear holding him? Someone talk to me,
Yeah, give me something technical. Thank you for watching another episode of Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. You better like, subscribe, and share, or I'm going to come to your house.